welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Gloria, and well, my name is Gloria, owner at Global Creations. And if this is your first time here, welcome. If you have been here before, you know this channel, it's all about event decor. So all thing event decor, behind the scene, logistic, pretty much what we show you what it is that we do behind the scene as event decorator. Okay, so in this week behind the scenes, I am going to take you, to the behind the scene of a Congolese traditional wedding. So in a lot of culture in the world, in Africa, America, some part of Asia, there is usually a traditional wedding that's usually involved the family of the bride and the groom. And in several part of Africa, it is the bride price, where the family of the groom will bring things to ask for the hands of the bride. So something similar, and we were hired to do the decor for that. So this traditional wedding is in Jefferson City, Missouri, which is about 2.5 hours from, Kansas City, which is where we are. So we were traveling for that wedding in 4th of July weekend. So I'm going to take you a little bit more behind the scene, maybe a little bit in the backstage, a little bit more, just a little more behind the scenes. I usually show you, things when it comes to, setup, the work, and things like that. But today I'm going to also talk about what goes on behind the scene when it comes to managing events, managing a business, and also, specifically managing a business, a wedding business, and managing a business as a mother, right? So we've been planning these weddings for months, and a couple weeks before the wedding, I got a call from my client, from my bride, and she was explaining to me that there is a serious health emergency that's going on in her family. I don't want to go into more details for the privacy of my clients, but she was pretty much saying that the wedding is going to be postponed. She is 90% sure that it's getting postponed, but she will let me know in a couple of days what the final decision is, right? So I was following up with her, every 2 or 3 days. I was trying to be, sensitive. So, but I was trying to still, follow up, because the 2 weeks mark is when I schedule my team. And I don't want to schedule my team and then, come to find out that that's not going to be work for them. And it is 4th of July weekend. I'm sure they will rather, plan things with their family, or they will rather, pick up, hours at their other, jobs. So I don't want to block them, and then we last minute say, hey, we don't have work. That will be fair to them, especially since it's going to involve traveling. If it was in town, that's fine. It's just a few hours of work. I can, reschedule them to work at the showroom and use that time to prep for another wedding. But this involves traveling, and it's gonna take 2 days from the weekend. So we cannot make that up. So I was waiting and waiting, waiting. I was telling the guys, we might have work, we might not, but I'll let you know. So I finally got the go 3 days. So the wedding was on Friday. I finally got confirmation that the wedding is back on Tuesday. So giving me 3 days to prep, or 2 or 3 days. So, I call my staff, and guess what? Nobody was available. So some of them has pickup work. Some of them have planned things with their family since it's 4th of July weekend. Again, if it was just a setup in town, it wouldn't have been an issue because they would have come to work in the morning, leave, do whatever they needed to do, and be back. But this involved traveling, which means that if we leave Friday morning, we'll probably be back Saturday in the afternoon or something like that. So the only person that was available was my little brother. Even him, he had to move some things around to, make it work for me. And one thing I realized that I did not have, childcare for my kids either because everything was in limbo. But hey, it's my client, special day. Even though the health, emergency was still going on, they choose to go through with the wedding because they had a lot of people that were coming from out of town, maybe even out of the country, so they just couldn't up and cancel. So I think because of those things they had to do it too, instead of postponing it, right? So I have to make this work. So I had to go with my little brother and my kids. I haven't brought my kids, so I have two little kids. I have a boy and a girl. I have an 11 years old and a 9-year old. I haven't brought them to work for events in years, but hey, this is stuff that happen as mothers. And if there is one thing that we vendors, wedding vendors, we know how to do is to improvise, make things happen, because when it comes down to it, you are dealing with one of the most important days in two people's life. And that's not going to be a redo for it. If it's not right that day, it's not like you can rewind, you can go back and fix it. It's done. So that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of stress, but a lot of pressure. I think when you are a wedding vendor, I think we have to get it in our mindset that it's not about us. You know, it's not about us. And then I think once you get that into your mindset, that this is bigger than you. So when it comes to that week, that wedding, that day, it's bigger than you. Okay. So we get paid for our work, but I see it as also, this is bigger than me. Would I want What would I want to be done for me for my wedding day? When I look back on my wedding day, would I want my vendor not to show up because I didn't let them, because there was a health emergency or things like that. So anyway, so when it comes to wedding, you have to put it in your mindset that this is bigger than you. So you have to move mountains to make it work. It's not easy, but it's what we do, right? So since I only had a couple days to prep, I had to come to the shop. I think Wednesday to Thursday, which was 4th of July, I work until 6 a.m. So I work overnight until 6 a.m. to prep because it's just going to be two of us. So I have to prep extra, extra, extra so that we can pull it off in time, right? So we were doing the stage, setup. We were doing the centerpieces for the table, linens. I think we're doing a walkway, which the walkway was about 80 foot long. It was long. It was an L walkway you see in the video. But enough about the behind the scene. Let me take you to the usual behind the scene, right? Let me take you to the usual behind the scene, prep and things like that. So this setup is going to be earthy, tones, greeneries, natural tones, flowers, browns, a little bit of orange. We use, natural elements such as, baskets, leaves, things like that. So basically, we wanted to show the vibrant, culture of our clients with this, setup. So I hope you like it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let's go behind the scenes. Welcome to behind the scenes. So I am starting by arranging the greenery wall that will be used as part of the backdrop on the stage. So I'm adding more green leaves that will pick through because I'm going to add a gold, curve frame in front. So I want the greenery to be long to pick through the gold frame. And I also added the flowers on top. I added a few, orange flowers, just to make it pop. And this is the gold frame that will be in front of it. So as you can see, some of the greeneries is long enough to peek through the gold frame. And then this is some of the flower arrangements, some of the centerpieces. Some will be on baskets, giving that natural, cultural, African vibe. And this is the remaining flowers. Sorry, I didn't get to record the making of these because it was one of those nights that I worked from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So I didn't get to record much. And this is we wrap these. So I wrap these foam board in vinyl that looks like it's a wooden, I don't know how to explain, but wooden tone. And we added some gold things on the side to make it blinding with the gold frame that will be on the greenery. You see on the final arrangement. Here, I had to buy these letters, which will be the initial for the couples from Michaels, and wrap them in gold last minute because, like I said, the wedding was paused. So I paused my vinyl order that was going to be shipped to me because it does include their dates. And my thinking is if we had to postpone this wedding, then this is going to be useless. We'll have to order again. But 3 days before the wedding was back on track. So I had to find a way to get some initial, and yeah, that was my kids also that was chilling with me at the venue. So setup is done, and my brother is steaming the chair, and we have the candles that were not lit yet. We usually steam, um so we usually steam at the showroom, at the warehouse before we go to the event. But again, I only had 3 days to put the final preps together for these events, so we just brought the steamer along and steam at the venue. And this is the setup. This is the wall in the middle, side wall. This is the arch at the entryway. We had, centerpieces on the table, and we have a very long aisle. This aisle is actually in an L, shape. So this is the one part of the L. So that's another part that's not in the video. So it was pretty long, but it was nice. And these chairs were already at the venue, which I think was amazing because they do fit my client's, theme perfectly. I couldn't have picked a better chair for her theme. So this is the stage. We had the wooden stands, the baskets, the natural tone, colors. Of course, we have some candles. And for draping, we have ivory draped and some brown tones as well. So this is the setup. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.